As per request, I'll be talking about some of my builds. I really like playing Lonestar because he's very versatile. You can basically build him around any kind of comp the enemy is playing. And so I'll be using 4 different builds depending on the enemy team. So let's start with the easiest one. The easiest one is the full bull build. So going full bull very early. So you get slow, you get horns, and you get big bull. What slow does is it lowers the jump height from the enemy, and so they can't jump over your bull, and then this is your damage on pins, and just in general it does decent damage. And then big bull is obviously so it can survive better, and even on high ping it's useful to really confirm that they get knocked back, because on high ping people tend to walk through your bull, but with big bull it's less of a problem. And then obviously you can build out, like, you can get damage, or you can get something else depending on what you need. You can build out your blast, and depending on what you need. But this is the key. And so this build does very well against melees that have to get close to you. So you can pretty easily get behind them and push them towards your team, push them towards your turret, or pin them against the wall. And it's especially good against like single jump heroes. So Skolder's not single jump, but he has like very short hops, which aren't enough to clear the ball. And then Scoop's obviously single jump, not single jump. These characters are all single jump, and so like Voltar and Yuri are very vulnerable because they can't even jump after they get pushed. And the rest goes for like Raylan and Ted and Rocco, but these characters are ranged, so it's kind of harder to get behind them, which is ideally where you want to be. Now these characters, it's very dangerous to get behind them because you don't want to get close to them at all, obviously. Like, these are CC heavy, these are all the dangerous characters you want to stay away from. So this build is not very good against that. And then in the lowest tier you have characters that have channel jumps. So channel jumps is basically a jump where you hold it and you jump higher. So think of Genji's flutter and X's jump and Penny's secondary jump, stuff like that. That basically makes you immune to getting pushed by bull, because I think it resets momentum, or I don't know, it works in some way that it cancels the effect of your bull, and so they're basically immune to it. So definitely don't build it against these guys. It's also like map dependent, so like small confined maps that are that have lots of walls, and you can like ambush people. So like Ribbit and Aguilon, and before T1s are down at Starstorm. On the more open maps it's not very good, but even still you can push them towards your turret. So second build is kind of your standard build. Is probably the most common build you see, is like getting using TNT. So I like to get missile, I'll get damage, and get TNT, and this is like kind of the idea of your build. And then you get whatever else you need. Maybe you get regen, maybe you get something else, and you can like build your bull out like the Super Bull, or you can maybe build more spammy. But this is the idea. And so what you're trying to do is that what you're trying to do with TNT is that you're trying to hit multiple people, obviously, but it also allows you to fully charge it and like have a good chance of hitting multiple grenades. So who this is good against, obviously, is like characters that like to group up. So Voltar especially, you can take out his drone with it, and obviously their team wants to group around to get healed. So high chance of hitting multiple people, so you get a lot of burst, you get a lot of value out of your dynamite. And by sort of being able to fully charge it, you also get to play like semi keep away. So like all the dangerous characters, so like Leon and all the rest, like the guys here, it's good to build it against that, because you can play some distance with that. That's very good against Yuri, obviously, because he likes to group up with allies in his bubble. But if he's like flying around and playing more solo, then it's obviously not as good. Like if characters that fly, so like Vinny, characters that like to be in the air a lot, so also Jimmy and like X, it's not that great, because obviously usually they're going to land on the floor, and you want to hit people with it, so flying is a big detriment. It's also good against Lonestar and like Pillar or a Totem from Scree, so you can hit them through it because like Lonestar likes to bull you away, so you can still hit him through that. And all the ranged characters, it's also very good against, because ranged characters they want to play distance also, but they still want to hit you, so they'll usually kind of be at the same distance if they're running like two ranged characters like Raylan and Rocka or something. Then they'll usually stand in the same spot, so you can hit them both. And so it's pretty good. And obviously all the tanky characters, so like if the enemy team wants to hide inside their clunk to kind of have him absorb a bunch of damage, then you can hit them also. What it's not good against is obviously like the very mobile characters that like to be all over the place, especially Ix and Froggy. I mean, Froggy and Ix are kind of always bad matchups because he can refract your dynamite and he can just ignore your ball with his channel jump, and Frog can dash through your ball and can just RB all your damage. So it's always kind of tough against these characters, but especially on this build, it's very dangerous because if you R-based your dynamite back into your team, it can be disastrous. And also what you can do on this build, on the standard build still, is like if they have more mobile characters, what you can do to correct is like you can get lifesteal instead. If they're like moving around a lot, if they're very mobile and you're mostly face miting, then you get a lot of value, you get a lot of damage and kind of the health differential, because you're not really going to get much value out of the TNT. But I rarely go this. I'll usually try to go for a different build if I'm forced to build this, but you can go it. Next build is the spam build. So spam, the idea of a spam is like you utilize bounce. So you want to get some damage, you want to get bounce. Some people like to get missile for playing keep away, because the idea of this build is playing keep away. This is for all the most dangerous characters that you have to stay away from. So people like to get missile first, but what I like to do is you want to max out your dynamite first, because dynamite until you get bounce, it's not really useful. So you want to get that online right away. So then I'll build out like damage, and then I'll get missile, I'll get booming. And the idea here is like you save your dynamite for poking them, for trying to bully them out of lane, so that you never really have to have a real fight, and you can just get push and whatever. And then you're using missiles and booming to both play keep away and to clear with booming, because you want to save your dynamite for poking them. So like you build this, and then you build out your spam bull. So spam bull is like getting explode, getting cooldown, getting slow. Slow is always very good to get, but you might want to get healing also. Like if slow is not that useful, depending on matchups, then you can get healing to heal. Like if you have like a scoop or a skull there, they'll appreciate that. And just you throw your dynamite, you spam your bull, and that's how you try to play the game. Now, the matchups is good for, like I said, it's all the most dangerous characters that you want to stay away from. So like Durple and Sentry and all these characters that are heavy CC, that can basically kill you instantly if they get close to you with their team. Same goes for these guys. And obviously Leon and X have smaller hitboxes, so it's kind of hard to maybe hit them with bounce, but it's still pretty good, because it's better than getting close. And then all the bad matchups is obviously again like all the very mobile characters that are all over the place. They have an easier time avoiding it, and so it's not super good against them. Now there's a variation of this build where what you do is like what I'll do if I want to build this is like I'll get one rank of incendiary, I'll get bounce immediately, and I'll start it with postcard. And postcard, what this allows you to do is you get so much spam that you basically bully them out of lane forever. So you get your full dynamite, and you get attack speed also, just to farm more postcard hits. And so you're basically just like farming your dynamite off of droid waves and just spamming your dynamite down lane. And then if you want to finish the build, you'll get like double missile and get the spam ball. And then, whatever utility you need. And this is especially very, very good if you're running against like these sort of bigger, more chunky, dangerous characters. So like, Durpol and Sentry and Swigs, they're not super mobile. Same with Ulip. Yeah, Ulip is not as big, but he's also very immobile, so he's a hard time dodging your spam. And obviously against like Ix and Leon and maybe Genji even, since they're smaller, it's not as good against them. But if you see two of any of these, or like an additional tank like Clunk or something, then it's very good to go this against them now. It's very bad to go this against, again, like the mobile characters, but especially against Voltar. I didn't mention this. He's just going to heal your spam, so definitely don't build this against Voltar. And then the last build is the tank build. Tank build is a little bit more niche because it kind of needs the enemy team to not have you kind of want to be able, if you see a spot that's open for getting the tank build, getting value in, if they don't have as much burst, then that's very good, because you can basically live forever if you just farm with transfusion and postcard. This build focuses on leveraging transfusion. What you can do is you can go healable first, depending on how much poke they have. So if you have a constant need to heal, then getting this for you and your team is very good as a first upgrade. But anyway, the core of this build is transfusion. You get postcard. After that, you get tank. Obviously, bear is very good because you get more healing because you're negating damage. And then what you do after that is you build out your pistol. So you get like to get attack speed first, just again for the postcard, and then you just get full DPS. This is also very good for pushing down turrets because you do full turret damage as Lonestar. But the idea of this is like you're trying to live forever and you're trying to just out DPS the enemy team. And I'll show some niches in the matchups, but just to finish off the build, it's like you'll get cooldown just to get more heals, just get explode or get slow. And then I like to get damage just because the little bit of burst, it does matter late game. But you can also get like explosion size or whatever you need. So the matchups for this, obviously Gnaw. The variation I like to go against Gnaw is you get the heal ball and you get cooldown. You get that right away as your first two upgrades. And what you do is basically just spam it all day against walls and near your turrets. So you basically turn Lonestar into a healer, and you always have health packs ready to give to your teammates, and so they can stay in the fight. Because Gnaw's play pattern is kind of like dominate for the first 5 minutes of the game by having really good damage and not being able, your team not being able to kill his weaklings. And so as long as you can last 5 minutes, then usually you're in the clear if you still have turrets and stuff. So this just helps with that, and then you go with the rest of the build. And other characters really good against. So like Scoop is relatively low burst. He does have burst, but it's not that much. Jimmy obviously also, and because they're tanks, like having lots of DPS against them is very good because they just can't stay close to you, because you'll just shred them. Same goes for these characters who are like poke heavy, so they kind of want to harass you and they kind of want to bully you out of lane with their abilities. But they also don't have much burst, so like Ray has snipe obviously, but it's pretty easy to avoid as Lonestar. Same goes for Ted. Like you can dodge airstrike, and beyond that he doesn't have much burst, so you can live forever. Chucho's damage is delayed, etc. Now I put X and Frog here, probably too high because it's you're always going to have a tough time against Ix and Frog, but the unique thing about this build is that because you're using postcard, if you refract your dynamite, then you can just farm another, and he won't have refract for that one. And same goes for Frog. Like if he wants to RB your abilities, you can just farm up another, and after he uses Tornado, then you still have your DPS from your blaster to fight him. And so if you're constantly full health because you're always healing, basically always healing to full health, and you have more tank, it's hard for him to like 1v1 you. So he just has to get his burst on you and get out, and then you can basically heal back up. So Frog is not as much of a problem. Now obviously Ix can still swap you into his team, and if they have a lot of bursts, then maybe that's not a good idea. It's probably better to go spam build or something to play keep away. But if you're in a pub and Ix is trying to 1v1 you, because like the thing with Ix is that he tries to like negate all your damage and then tries to 1v1 you with his really good DPS. And so if you have better DPS with Blaster, which you can have, and just like by throwing dynamite in his face all the time, you can just 1v1 him pretty easily with this build. But it's dangerous obviously if it's in a more competitive setting, if they have better players with that are set up for swap. Now the rest, it's like like low burst characters and stuff. Obviously the characters you don't want to play this against again is like characters you need to keep away for, because this build needs to be close because your blaster doesn't have much range. It's very dangerous to play this against like Swix or Sentry or I don't know, whoever. You can't even get close if they have great traps with Durple. So stuff like that is it's not a good idea. But if you wanna solo carry a pub game and they don't have much burst, then it's a good idea to go this build. And I always go it against Gnaw. Just because it's so good, it's so much healing. And I think, one thing I should mention before I go is that against Frog, another good tip is to get boots early, because boots really helps you kind of negate his damage in a way, because obviously Frog likes to dash you on the ground so that he can immediately go into Tornado, and also if he has Hammer Pants, it's a lot of extra damage from him. So if you can juke him out with extra jumps, you can fight him for longer before you have to like start thinking about him having to make a prediction or having to back out, whatever. It's always good to get boots early versus Frog, who is one of your toughest matchups. But I think that's it. So I hope you learned something.